Uh, Again, if you enjoy the conversations and you want to be added to the email list, guys, I would ask that you just shoot me an email at ccinfo@addictedtoconnecting.com. Love to get you added so you know the upcoming topics for every week coming forward, right? As well, you can always go to the website and see those topics that are being advertised as well. Today's conversation, guys, is actually just a carryover from a discussion that I had. I had the pleasure of speaking at Job Search Focus Group yesterday. And we spoke on, I mean, the topic title may not have been fully reflective, but it was relationships and the pathway to a pathway of least resistance to more referrals, right? And whether you're in job search, you're in business for yourself, right? You're just going through life, right?
Mhm.
I think we all look for, do you know somebody that can whatever, right? I opened the conversation up with yesterday talking about Luke Combs and Post Malone has a song out that's called "A Guy for That," right? And guys, it is all about like Miska, who do you know, right? Michael, who do you know? Diane, who do you know, right? Rodney, who do you know that can help me perpetuate whatever idea, whatever journey, whatever success story I'm looking to achieve, right? And so I wanted to kind of dig into that a little bit. As of right now, guys, we've got 33 new associates, Coffee Connect family members, right, for the year. And that's since March 31st, guys. That's our anniversary date. We'll add two more to that today. That'll be 35 with Edwin and Darcy, right? Our goal is to have 100 new folks every year. Just tap into Coffee Connect and see what we're about and see how we can help each other. As I said, we're going to let you guys introduce yourselves. And so I summarized it, relationships to referrals, right? I want to watch a quick video. Is this pulling up?
Yes,
All right, I got to play some
operating.
audio, and I don't know if I shared my audio, so give me 1 second here so I can share the sound. And this pains me as I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, right, to show this, but the truth is there, right? And Tom Brady does not come from this illustrious background that he was a million, his parents were millionaires and stuff like that. He worked his way to do what he was doing. He was actually a third string quarterback when he took over, right? And had the chance to become the person that he was.
Opportunities in life, when they're presented to you, in front of you, it's just a matter of whether you're not prepared to take advantage of the opportunity. But you got to develop that resilience within you. Life is not about how much you succeed, it's about what happens when you fail, right? So life is, you could look at like, man, what's been inspiring for me? If you said, oh, Tom, what are the greatest wins? I'd be like, the wins, those are, yeah. Let's talk about the losses. Those are the ones that really, made me who I am. And as you go through life, and we're all adults, things happen in life that you don't want to have happen. Whether you lose a game or whether things don't go well at work or something with your child, or, there's a lot of things that come up in our personal and professional lives that just don't go the way we want. And how do you deal with it? Do you deal with class and integrity and with courage and with resilience? And are you able to share emotion with people? And do you have other people in your life that can help you through those things? And I think, like I said, my blessing is I've had people that go through those things with me. And, they always say double the pleasure and divide the pain. And that's what relationships are all about. When you care for those people and when you love them and when you give to them, they give back. And, that's where the reward comes. Giving is for the giver and loving's for the lover and caring's for the carer. It's not for, for the other person all the time. It's for you too.
So I'm going to stop there. I mean, I don't know how to make a real shorter. As much as I agree with his failure part, right? It was really about those last few words, guys, and the person he became, right? The success that he became as a quarterback, and to be a leader of a team and go beyond that, right? Wasn't just all about what he was doing. It was because he had other people surrounding him, right? That helped him through some of those areas, and you can say I got a guy for that, right? I mean, that's really what it was. And so I want to kind of talk about this. We spoke yesterday at Job Search Focus Group that there's three things that kind of go into this, right? Clarity, credibility, and connection are what helps build that trust and uh, uh, um, relationship, right? That allows people to say, man, Darcy, man, I believe in you. I trust in you. I want to point somebody your direction, right? And hopefully you guys can create a bond to go do some great things together. Or however the referral comes about or the conversation comes into play. But and so we're going to jump straight to a breakout room this morning, guys, and because I think we've all been through a lot of things with our job searches and stuff over our lifetime, and we've all been taught, hey, we got to have friends, obviously, and stuff like that. But I want to know truly, like, I want you to talk in your breakout rooms, and there's 12 of us, 10 of us here today, and maybe we'll have some more people pop in. This is a low crowd, but I know it's also August, right? And we're getting ready to go back to school. But I want to know, like, how do you value, right? How do you truly value your relationships, right? How are you expressing that value, right? And what are you doing to help manage those connections? And this is some of the follow-up conversations that we had kind of towards the end of the day yesterday at JSFG, right? And then maybe even to just talk about our shortcomings, right? Where are we falling short in accomplishing those things? Okay. For the new folks, I'll be honest with you, right? And you'll realize this very rapidly in Coffee Connect, right? That this is a place that is non-judgmental, right? That we do not sit here and chastise people for what they are not doing, right? We're actually very open about where our failures have been, right? Because I think truly, as Tom alluded to at the very beginning, right? It is our failures that can make us stronger. So I would encourage you guys as well to be as open as what you can about the conversations that you're having. And hopefully we can all help each other get better. So I'm going to open up the breakout room. Awesome, guys. So, how do you guys value relationships?
Ray's got something really important to share.
Yeah, go for it, Ray. He automates them.
I do. But I don't think that's what Jeff was referring to. I think he's referring to the analogy meat, which is money, energy, attention, and time. That's the only way that you can pay in any form of a relationship. But each one is different for each person. So somebody with a lot of money, the money isn't important, but their attention or their time may be like the biggest paying factor, or vice versa. Somebody without a lot of money, them doing something financially is significant for that person. So it's always a variation on that, but essentially you can only pay within that form. It's either money, energy, attention, or time for a relationship, and it just varies on each person. But that's the way you nurture relationships in general.
I love that. In yesterday's conversation, I asked everybody to not only identify some people, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit, but also to identify ways that we can help people, right? How can you help people? I said, I want you to answer 3 questions. How can you help somebody now, right? And if you're in job search, right, and you're like, dude, I don't have income coming in right now. I ain't got money to be giving to people and stuff like that. But you do have energy, attention, and possibly time, right? And so it's important. And then I said, how can you help people in the future, right? How can you help people now? How can you help people in the future? And then yes, exactly, Jeff. And then the most important one, how can I help others, right? It's not about me just directly helping Ray all the time. How can I point people in the direction of Ray so that he can help them, right? Or point Ray to the direction of other people, right? So that he can help them or help some of their investors or whatever else, and knowing what he does, right? And so answering those 3 questions, and then really putting to effect this what Ray just talked about, right? The meat, money, energy, attention, and time, right? If you think of it in those 4 senses and then answer those 3 questions, right? You'll have actionable items that you can bring value to the table today, right? For your relationships. I knew this was going to be a great conversation, and Ray, I appreciate you bringing that. What else, guys? What else? I'll share, what I talked about with our Darcy. Were you going to say something? Go ahead.
I was just going to jump in. I think that
Yep.
your first question, Rodney, about how much do you value relationship in our group, it was just examples of relationships are highly valued. And the one that I had shared was going back to, grew up in a small community in North Dakota, and probably 15 years ago, there was 7 of us that started a group text that on any birthday, somebody's starting the thread early in the morning, happy birthday, brother. And it just goes on for, 10 minutes with whether it's a little story about the football team or something about what happened at, in some wild Friday night. But a bunch of people that have taken the opportunity to stay connected in that way. And so it's just, I know that any one of those guys have my back. And if something happened that I really needed help, they're a text message away or a phone call away.
Exactly, right. And I mean, I told you guys yesterday. I mean, I've got 5,000 plus or almost 6,000 contacts. I said 2,000 of them are sailors that I probably led at one time or another, or they led me, right? I mean, they could have been people that went before me, but do I call those guys every day or every week or every month or every year? I heard from one last week. I hadn't heard from him in 2 years. But he started the conversation with, "Hey, the reason I'm calling you is because we go back 20 something years, right? And I value your friendship and I value your honesty much more than I do my Merrill Lynch advisor." And I'm just, you know, and he just didn't feel right about something that was being said. He wanted to hear from somebody who he knew and trusted and had lived life with for a long time, right? And stuff. But we hadn't talked in a couple years, guys, right? And that's what Darcy's talking about. I mean, it doesn't have to be someone that you just talk to every week or anything like that. I made mention in our room. I said, 6,000 sailors on board the ship. There's 140 something chief petty officers on board the ship, guys, and about 140 officers on board the ship, right? And 147 or 140, 150 chief petty officers, right? We didn't build our bonds when we were in the heat of battle. 9/11 happened and we were off the coast of Afghanistan and knowing that we all had a mission to accomplish, right? We built our bonds and the trust with each other during lunchtime when we were sitting down in the mess and able to talk and ask Jeff, "Hey, how's your family, man? How's your wife doing? How's the kids? Tell me what are some goals you have for yourself when you get out of the Navy, Lamar, right?" Or that's when we built our bonds, right? So much so that when we were in the heat of battle and I had something go wrong in the engine room and I needed to call the MRC, right, the MR chief, and manufacture a new bearing or something like that, right? It wasn't it was I'll be there, let me get the measurements and we'll get this done, right? Because we've got things to do, right? So what else did you guys, as far as valuing relationships or maybe even how you're expressing those relationships, right? Anything else to share?
Well, just to kind of share with you, the phone call I got before was from a mentor of mine when I was in high school. And so we've stayed in touch for more years than either one of us would care to admit. And that's kind of how you do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that 40 years?
It'd be more like probably 50.
Okay.
So from about the time I was 15 or 16, and I turned 65 earlier this year. So, and we have the same birthday. He is 11 years older to the day than I am.
Neat.
That's what life's about. And I mean, you say that, I said my fourth and fifth grade teacher, they were the same person, Mr. Fidel. Still in touch with that guy, right? And I think he had a lot to do with the leadership that I've gained over the years and stuff, at least sparking that interest in student council and things like that got me started down the leadership path, right? I had another guy, John Miller, who was our government instructor. He was also the head of our United Nations Club in high school, right? And just another guy that had a big influence on leadership and stuff for me. And so, today, as far as our conversations, right, I said there's some three things that I was hoping to bring out to everybody yesterday. One is identify possible sources. And so just as I asked them, what are ways that you can help people today? What are ways that you can help people in the future? What are ways that you can help others, right? I also posed to him, I said, I want you to list 3 people, right? If you're looking for people to connect with, ways to connect or things like that. So list 3 people besides your spouse, besides your kids, besides your parents that would want to see you successful, right? In your role, in your next role, in your business that you're in right now, just see you have success, right? And I would venture to say that if you're listing 3 people and you don't have a problem listing 3 people immediately, right? Those 3 people probably mean a lot to you, right? Joe mentioned, a mentor from years back. I mean, that's what we're talking about, right? They probably have some insight and information that, right, might be able to lead you to that next step, right? Next thing is list 3 people that maybe and they might even know you, right? But you've never had the courage or you've never had the time or availability to ask them for 20 minutes of their time to sit down and talk some things through, right? Make this be the reason, right? To say, hey, I want to learn more from you. I've always admired your leadership or your expertise or whatever it is, right? And I'd love to, grab a coffee for 20 minutes and just pick your brain a little bit. Right. And give you the opportunity to show them the value you bring because they probably know other people that are at that same level, right? That they can put in front of you or put you in front of. Right. And then the last one was list 3 people that maybe you were really close with at one point, but you haven't talked to in 10 years, 15 years, 12 years, 2 years, whatever else it is, right? And reach out to those. Make it a reason to reconnect with those and share with them the value that you've got going on and maybe how you can help them or other people that they know because they might be able to point you in the direction of some great referrals as well, right? It's all about helping, right? It's not about I need, it's about how do I bring value and create an offer around that value to other people. And so we went through this exercise yesterday. We're not going to go through it today because of time. I went through another round of exercise, and you guys may have seen this and may not. And again, just because of time, we're not going to go through this. But Tony Robbins did this, right? Darcy and Edwin, I don't want you to think I was a genius, right? I'm not, right? Tony Robbins did this, right? He says, hey, he was in this interview with this young man. He says, I want you to look around. I want you to note everything in the room that is brown. And the young man's looking around. You can see that he's just like calculating all the things that are brown in his head, right? And he says, now close your eyes. Tell me all the things you've seen that were red. Right? And he couldn't come up with anything because he had no clarity for what red was. He had clarity for what brown was. In fact, he may not have had clarity for what brown was. Tony goes on to say, you probably seen things that were beige in the room and we're calling them brown just to be confident in that you had some things to note, right? And I would say often when we're describing what we talk about or what we do or the value we bring or whatever, right? We don't have clarity, right? We're saying brown when we mean red or red when we mean brown, right? And I will tell you, this came to my, in my field of vision a couple weeks ago when I was talking to Dave, and we brought it up last week at the end of last week's session, right? That although I've met with a lot of you guys, that maybe a lot of you guys think that I'm looking for red, when indeed I'm actually looking for purple, right? Or something. So we have to have clarity because if we can't say clearly what we are looking for, how is Michael or Lamar or Joe supposed to reiterate that clarity to somebody else when they're trying to say, man, I've got a great person that you need to meet? Okay. And so clarity has to be there, guys, for all of that. And, I said, we've been given the traditional formula of, I'm looking for this kind of a role at this kind of a company, right? And I'd love to meet someone, right, in that field, right? This is the value that I bring. And in my opinion, right, this screams, I need a job. I need a job. I need a job. I need a job. And I don't care if that's in you're in business. I need a job. I need to sell something. I need to, right? And it doesn't necessarily promote truly the value you bring, even though you end it with, I bring this kind of value, right? The only thing they heard is, I'm looking for this, right? Instead of the service that you're bringing to others, right? And so we're going to go to another breakout room. And I just want you to kind of talk like, what do you think about this approach, right? This traditional a mannerism in which we've often taught people to introduce themselves and stuff, right? How do you think that this comes across to others, right? And then furthermore, how do you take that ask and turn it into an offer versus always just asking, right? So feel free to screenshot that, guys. I'm going to stop sharing. So you meet somebody and they jump right into, I need, I'm looking for a job in this, that, and the other, or I'm looking for people that need life insurance or investments, or because that's what we do, right? Who's disgusted by that? I'll just throw it out there, right? I mean, it's a little offsetting a little bit, right? When they often go straight for the sale. I don't know about you, but like I can't go to I hate going to a car dealership, right? Because as soon as you get there, what happens? Furniture stores are the same way, right? They're like hovering over you, right? And I feel the same sometimes, even if we're just in job search or we've got our own businesses and stuff, that when we approach someone with the wrong lines, and we talked yesterday a little bit, right, Darcy, about the wording is important as far as how things are being said, right? And I think it's important for us to understand that if we're going straight for the ask, right, it can be a little offsetting, right? Because the person doesn't feel like you care about them. All you care about is you, right? Uh, and so, what else did you guys hear as far as this approach and uh, maybe how you feel like it might be coming across to others when you're introducing yourselves or when others are introducing themselves to you?
Well, I guess as a job coach, I want people to ask that, to go for the ask right off the jump, but and kind of have their ideas organized. What kind of gets me and is when you ask somebody what target companies or what organizations might you want to work for, and they don't have any idea. And it's kind of hard for me to introduce you to someone at ABC Corporation or XYZ organization if you don't know that you think you might want to work there. So that's the flip side from from a job coach perspective, but that's me.
And I think
I
that's the
think,
clarity piece for sure, right? You
Yeah.
got to have some clarity. Go ahead, Ray.
yeah, I was going to piggyback off that and say that I think that's the hardest part when most people are talking. Either they're not able to articulate what they're thinking clearly and concisely, more importantly,
Hmm.
or not they're not sure what they need or what they want. So that's the other problem, and that's part of why they can't articulate what they need in any given moment.
Okay, now, Ray, I have to ask the question here. You have a calendar over your right shoulder, September 2015. Is that
So
like when you started a business or something, or?
That's a false
no,
background.
that is a fake background. I can change that in a couple of seconds.
Okay,
There you go.
there we go. Okay.
So, and in that sense, right, if someone is unclear, right, I would say, I'm in a position in my life right now, I'm unclear about what I want to do. I would like to talk to people, right, to hear what they do, right, and hopefully gain some clarity on what my trajectory is, right? I think it's okay to have one-on-ones to brainstorm with other people, right, and find out what do they like to do or what are they passionate about doing and stuff like that. I mean, uh, gain the clarity though before you start going for the ask,
Yep.
right?
I networked for years before I realized what I wanted to focus on. I didn't even know I was networking at the time. It was conversations with, and people would ask me questions that would drive me down a path, maybe think, yeah, that's the right thing for me because I enjoy that. I'm good at that. I can find myself improving as I do it, all with the things that make you want to do more of that thing going on in my head. And that helped me become clear about what I wanted to focus on, which allowed me to better express it to other people, which it circles back on itself and allows me to be more successful.
Yeah. When you start to be specific about what you're looking for, it's much easier for people to identify who they can refer you to. Raise your hand if you've ever been to Cheesecake Factory. Right. 36-page menu. It is not easy to figure out what you want at the Cheesecake Factory, right? As opposed if they were just to knock that down to a page or a 2-pager or something like that, right? It'd be much easier. And so we've got to be specific. If I would have told you I want something that is purple, that's smaller than the size of a bread box, preferably in the shape of a spoon, right? Or something like this. Jeff does this much better than I do, right? Your mind starts to filter out all of the noise that doesn't meet the criteria that I'm telling you, and we get more quality introductions and referrals and conversations taking place. Lamar, what do you got, buddy?
Well, I was wanted to just echo on this that get people talking about themselves. Okay. And if you get them talking about themselves, they'll feel very comfortable, and then they'll be very interested in asking you questions about yourself.
Yeah. Often it's not about what you say, but it's about what you ask.
What you ask, and focus on them. Really focus on them.
So my encouragement to everyone here, and maybe we didn't get it clear because we were in a rush. We're trying to do breakouts and get everyone's conversations taking place, but somehow or another, we got to find our way to flip the ask and turn it into an offer, right? Lamar says his introduction. He says, "I like making win-win conversations," right? And then he goes, or win-win introductions, and then he goes into a little bit of the details, right? But the first thing he says is the value that he brings. Right. And so by doing that, it instantly starts you thinking about who can I be introduced to, or who can I introduce Lamar to, or who can I introduce to Lamar, right? That can help Lamar accomplish his goals and the things that he is passionate about. And so find a way to take your ask and turn it into an offer, guys. Okay. I think this is very important for us.
I'll say the same thing I said yesterday at JSFG. There's a lady who teaches classes down here, that she says, when you're in an interview, tell them my name is, and I have these skills that I would like to transfer to your company. That's your offer rather than your ask.
Exactly.
I like what
Exactly.
you're saying.
Right. So I think I left off with this yesterday. Every time you ask, you invite connections. Every time you offer, you truly build the trust that you need to keep moving forward. Right. Keep showing up with generosity and courage, because relationships, right, will nurture that you're nurturing today, right, will shape tomorrow's opportunities. There's all kinds of conversations that could be had about this, but we are out of time for today, guys. Hopefully you gained some understanding of maybe some things that you can do, some things that you can tweak, some things that you can slightly change. I'm not saying we're all just jacked up, because I don't think we are, right? But some things that we can tweak, right, that can just help escalate our job search or our businesses in the way, if anybody's interested. But listen, go out and have a great week, right? Keep it positive, guys. Do not be afraid to reach out to other people and ask for help. And remember, I love you guys, all right?
Can I?
Awesome. Thank you.